Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I hope everyone is doing well tonight. And I am simulcasting on Rumble and Utizzle. Ha ha ha. We'll give it a try. Because I tell you what have I said about when I notice internet speeds all of a sudden jump up to some astronomical amount? I say, wow, something might be happening. Something might be coming. Because we know a lot about the internet. A good third of it is controlled by certain people that are on our side, as many of you know. And we'll see what happens. But we got a lot to talk about tonight. But what do? Look at that guy on the screen. Does he look like he's sleeping good to you? Does that look like he's getting a good night's sleep? I play some videos while people get settled in, get themselves a nice cup of coffee or a cold brouhaha or an adult beverage or maybe a glass of orange juice. I don't know, whatever you want. So anyway, what am I going to do? I'm going to play videos while everybody gets settled in, and then we'll be like butter. Wait a minute. And then we'll do what? Get on a roll.
I spoke in the fall about the iceberg I saw ahead. Something's fraud that's much larger than what's been visible to the public. When I said that, it wasn't hyperbole or rhetoric, it was a warning. And today I want to talk and I want to show here a sense of what that iceberg looks like, because I think people deserve to know what that is and how big this problem is, because we can't solve the problem until we grapple with the size of it. So the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services pulled the claims data for these 14 programs dating back to 2018. And those 14 programs in Minnesota have cost $18 billion since 2018 and more than $3.5 billion in 2024 alone. So that's a sense of the magnitude of the problem. These are the 14 Medicaid programs, which is just a part of Medicaid, these waivered services that have been flagged as having issues with program integrity and fraud. Now, I'm sure everyone is wondering how much of this $18 billion was fraud. It's not the $1 million question, that's the $18 billion question. The answer is far too much, and the task ahead of all of us is not only figuring out how much of that money was fraud, because we know a significant amount was, but figuring out how to put an end to the fraud in our state and get control of it. So let me end with this before I take questions. The magnitude of the fraud in Minnesota cannot be overstated. It's staggering amounts of money that have been lost. But it's not just about the money that's been stolen and wasted. This is a problem that's caused all of us to question what kind of state we live in. I think it's eroded our sense of collective statewide self-esteem and confidence. It's caused we have a state, as I've said before, that has long taken pride in having a strong economy, good schools, beautiful lakes, mini parks, and a sense of community spirit and civic mindedness. This fraud really calls into question all of that. And I know that it's gone on, it's been allowed to go on far too long. And we need to do whatever we can to stop it in its tracks.
If you want to vote and you show up at your polling place, they can't stop you from voting. They can't stop you from voting. If people want to know how to vote, then you can go to iwillvote.com. The fact of the matter is that we give our power away all the time. You know, we tell ourselves, oh, it's hard, it's not going to matter, it's not going to count. And the powers that be, they're counting on us giving our power away.
Many of the millennials, dreamers, undocumented citizens, and I call them citizens because they contribute to this country, are fearful of voting. So if I vote, will immigration know where I live? Will they come for my family and deport us?
Not true.
Okay.
And the reason is, first of all, when you vote, you are a citizen yourself, and there is not a situation where the voting rolls somehow are transferred over and people start investigating, etc. The sanctity of the vote is strictly confidential in terms of who you voted for. If you have a family member who maybe is undocumented, then you have an even greater reason to vote.
The storm's on. Yes, sir. I'm wondering what storm they're talking about.
They have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person.
And he's absolutely going to come back with full vengeance the next time around.
Well, think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. Our Constitution really does give the president tremendous power to destroy. This will be something we could never have imagined.
Now the gloves are off.
Some of Trump's close political allies told him they are working on figuring out the identities of the FBI and DOJ staff and forming lists.
I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal, racist enforcement of the law. If the deep state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very evil things, very bad things, I would say treasonous things against our country. People that have done such harm to our country. I've been looking at them for a long time.
He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he perceives as enemies.
Put them all in jail where they belong. You gotta get tough and smart, and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on. And I will be the one to clean it up. I am your retribution. We will take care of it. We will take care of it.
Hi, folks. Thank you for joining me tonight. We got to get tough. We got to get smart. We got to fight fire with fire. That's what the man said, didn't he? So that's what we're doing. And I don't want to get everybody on the edge of their seat, but something's going to go down very soon. Is it going to be Iran? Something. We'll be going to the weekend with a big story. Whoa, where'd my chats go? Wait a minute. I want to say hi to people. Daggone it. Who's came in to see me tonight? Tammy's here. Sissy's here. Roberto is here. Todd's here. Robin's here. Linda Marie. Cole's here. Let me see. Gary. It's about to go down. Todd, Gary. Wayne gave me a thumbs up. I hope you all give me a thumbs up when you come in. I do appreciate it so much. I certainly do. And let's see, who else come in? Randy's here. Let's see. Pappy's here. Rebecca's here. Stanton, Rebecca, Tammy, Todd, Felix. All right, nice to see you. I don't want to miss anybody, and I might mention some of you. Where's my Debbie's at? I'm looking to see if I got any Debbies. I got a bunch of Debbies. Well, at least two. No, three. I got a third one. The secret Debbie. Anyway, let's see. Who else is coming? Nice to see Brush. Nice to see you. So anyway, folks. Let me put the picture up of the worried man. The worried man. Doesn't he look worried? He's always got that hound dog face on. I'm just a knucklehead. Poor me. I'm under so much stress. I'm going to play a video of him. He says he's not running for office. I was going to put Walz Caves. But nah, they lied. That's in my thumbnail too. They lied when Trump got on the phone with him. So, and Trump, we'll reassign. we'll reassign Bavino and Tom Holman to come down and talk to y'all. And everything, okay, we'll work with you. Yeah, we want to do what's right. And then as soon as everything gets switched around, they think they're getting away with something, and they ain't going to get away with nothing. Isn't that right, Sherry? Debbie's here. Ha ha. So, anyway, they're not going to get away with it. Tom Holman, I should have got that clip where he said justice is coming. But we've been saying that for years, and we don't want to wear it out. Hi, Linda. Nice to see you. But we could never wear it out. But, it's been 10 years of dealing with this situation. And it is finally coming to a head. And I got a bunch of reports of things, a bunch of videos to play. And we're going to do all that. It might be a longer broadcast because Trump posted some videos. And I'm like, man, that's a long video. But he said must watch. And some of them I didn't have time to sit and watch to get ready. So we'll be watching them for the first time together. I got my headphonios here. I can put my ear hole so I can hear better. And we'll go from there. But now of course, everybody and their brother knows about this character that, I gotta be nice and say, unfortunately, he lost his life. The nitwit that got himself in pickle. Hi, Mr. Kennedy. And I want to thank you, Mr. Kennedy, and Younger Gang for going buy me a coffee last night. I appreciate it very much. I do appreciate it. And for this week, it's been Mike and Bev and Todd, Colette, Pappy Two Bears, and Wayne. Buy me a coffee. I do appreciate it. Totally viewer-supported channel. You can enjoy this video without commercial interruption, thanks to my viewer-supported channel. But anyway, let me see here. I was going to put this up as a thumbnail. I don't know. What do y'all think? I was going to put up there. I was trying to think of a title. Did you all see Hakeem Jeffries say, we got to put Kristi Noem on ice permanently? He said that right after he said it, at the bottom of the screen, you see it. We are dead serious. She needs to be put on ice permanently. That's desperate rhetoric. These people are afraid. They know something's coming. We know something's coming. And, maybe it's post-storm internet thing. I don't know, but I'm like, wow, every time I've had where I know I've got a real strong signal for this territory, especially, I say to myself, you remember when Trump went to Mar-a-Lago after the 2020 election, after he gave his speech at the Alamo, we were told that IP addresses and a area of the internet equal to a third of its existing size that is owned by the then DOD, now DOW, went to Florida with Mr. T. So anyway, was a big change in the internet that was kept on the QT, but we know about it. So anyway, what's going to happen? What is it going to be? So this frightened man here, using that kind of rhetoric right on the very edge, okay, using violent terms. And then they're doing their appeals to people's emotions about the children. What are we going to do about the children? And Amy Klobuchar, she got a video. Oh, God, I guess I got to play it, but we'll play it. But it was funny. I was scrolling through, and I came across this video. Y'all can remember to come to the 15-minute mark if you want to get the title and watch it. But here's a perfect example. When they bring up the children. Congress needs to pass legislation that ICE cannot take families, not illegal immigrants, families. Yeah, we got whole families that are here illegally. So you use that kind of logic. Look at this picture. Look on the thumbnail. Look at that little booger all wrapped up, just like every kid. Kids all around the world, they're cute, they're innocent. We don't want nothing bad to happen to little children. But you know what? They're all around the flipping world, okay? And here, X-ray scanner turns routine stop into a $1.4 million discovery. You ought to let those people go home. Okay? It's a family. Can't you see? And can't you see that kid there, that little innocent child? You're gonna make that baby cry if you do anything to those parents who had a $1.4 million discovery in their vehicle. Yes, that's the way we ought to run our nation now. It's all about the kids, don't you know? But see how ignorant they are? So it's a gambit. It's a gambit, and they will shut down the government if they can't get their way and preserve this. That's why I played that Obama thing. Oh, voting's sacred. They don't check your citizenship. They can't do this and they can't do that. Well, they went down to Georgia, and I was going to get a picture of Tulsi Gabbard peeking around the corner. She was there. I got some more video on the raid in Georgia, but boy, they're nervous. They are nervous. Miss Menderson, nice to see you. Who else snuck in here? If I miss anybody, she put booms in there for everybody. Boom, 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 boom. I haven't done any booms in a while. But let's see. Did I miss anybody? Yeah, I see what's going on. I see it's going to be some stuff going down. But I tell you what, there's one video I was going to play at the beginning, but I went ahead and I put it in my click. Okay, my quiver of videos. I played this when Trump put it out. When Trump signed the executive order. We're looking at ballots. People are being arrested, going to be arrested. People are being investigated. We're going after illegal aliens. But also remember, there's a major investigation going on as to the funders. And that and a lot of other stuff.
This is a presidential memorandum on countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. In recent weeks, months, and years, we've seen a tremendous upsurge in some highly visible, but also other acts of domestic terrorism and organized political violence being perpetrated by radical, politically motivated groups all over the country. What this presidential memorandum will do is set off an administration-wide response to that, ranging from the Joint Terrorism Task Forces to other components of the Department of Justice, to the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Treasury. We're looking at interdicting these groups, preventing them from performing acts of violence, and also looking at sources of organization and funding and support that prop them up and allow them to do the acts that they have been doing.
We're looking at the funders of a lot of these groups, and when you see the signs, and they're all beautiful signs made professionally, these aren't your protesters that make the sign in their basement late in the evening because they really
anarchists and agitators.
How long ago was this? None of this stuff was going on back then, and they're talking about it. I mean, there were some protests, but nothing like what we've been seeing. And they're describing exactly what's going on right now. They've been watching the money for a long time.
Professional anarchists and agitators, and they get hired by wealthy people, some of whom I know, I guess, I probably know them. And you wouldn't know it. You're at dinner with them, everything's nice, and then you find out that they funded millions of dollars to these lunatics. Steve, could you say a couple of words?
Yes, Mr. President. This is a very historic and significant day. This is the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle left-wing terrorism, to dismantle Antifa, to dismantle the organizations that have been carrying out these acts of political violence and terrorism. What we have seen, if you look at whether it be going back to the riots that started with Black Lives Matter and all the way through to the Antifa riots, the attacks on ICE officers, the doxing campaigns, and now the political assassinations, these are not lone, isolated events. This is part of an organized campaign of radical left terrorism. It is structured, it is sophisticated, it is well-funded, it is well-planned. There is really no parallel like this to anything else in the country right now. There is an entire system of feeder organizations that provide money, resources, weapons, and when they're attacking ICE officers, they're attacking federal buildings, or they're isolating public officials for harassment, doxing, intimidation, and ultimately attempted assassination. It is all carefully planned, executed, and thought through. It is terrorism on our soil. Because of this executive order, Cash and Pam are going to have the tools they need, working with Scott, to take these organizations apart piece by piece. And the central hub of that effort is going to be the Joint Terrorism Task Force, or JTTF, which sits inside the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But for those at home who are worried about terrorism in this country, they need to understand, because of President Trump's strength, because of his vision, because of his leadership, we are now going to use the entire force of the federal government to uproot these organizations root and branch. And again, that's only possible because of President Trump and his leadership.
Yeah, going over all the stuff we've been seeing amped up. And I see what you're saying, Felix, about judges blocking. But I predicted a long time ago, and I'm standing by it, that there will be judges arrested. And I talked in the past how judges are human. And I watched for 30, 40 years, sheriffs, judges, they get in trouble. They get taken care of on the QT, they get removed from the bench, and sometimes they get arrested. And it's not something that's put in the paper. But now, so it can happen, and it will happen. It will happen. And like this judge that was demanding that the head of ICE or Border Security would come to answer to him for contempt. Well, that's been backpedaled now. That's not going to happen. Things are going to happen. And I think that things are going to happen where we least expect it. Think Tina Peters, right? Think Tina Peters. And that judge there, and all the fraud that we're aware of that we're not hearing anything about. That's when, like my dad used to say, when things get quiet, you get your antennas up. So, the judges, I think what this is, we're just taking inventory of judges that are just too damn far gone and building a case against them. Because you're working against your country. So, anyway, I'm just looking through the chats. They take oaths. Yeah, Debbie, they take oaths. And you got to keep your oath. And they can blame stupidity. They can do a lot of different things. But at some point, you got to answer. You got to answer for what happened to Sonny, Fredo. Remember that? Here, I have this video. This woman here, you just saw Steve Miller. Talk about desperate rhetoric. Listen to this crap.
And I would last like to call out Stephen Miller, who is in the center of this. We always focus on Trump, as we often focus on the top people. But Stephen Miller, like a man named Ben Detson, he was the one who created the internment camps for Japanese. Heinrich Himmler in the Nazi regime. This is what he is. And he of course, Trump gets the most of the blame being at the top. But people like Stephen Miller will go down in history as evil, had blood on his hands, and should be jailed at the very end of this. And you're absolutely right.
Yeah, using this incendiary rhetoric totally out of context with history. What Stephen Miller said about that character was right. This petty guy, the Pretty or whatever the hell his name is, the nurse. Don't be surprised. Well, look for it. I'm not saying Pretty in particular, but some of these people that are getting rounded up or being investigated, I bet they're going to have ties to that specific day called J-6. Okay? Planning and coordinating. How much you want to bet? Some of them are going to be tied in with J6, okay? Remember this doctor or, anesthesiologist or whatever the hell he was? I will not perform anesthesia or any procedures for MAGA. Remember I went over that last night? Guess what? Breaking Florida just revoked Eric's nursing license after our expose. Wait a minute, I got a statement from somebody about it. Let me see. Is this it? Let me see. Yeah, here it is. Oh no, this is a pizza joint. If anybody live in California, I'll get that pizza joint in a minute. Let me see if this is the one. Well, I come across it. The VA put out a statement on it, or one of the licensing organization put out a statement that they pulled his license. His state license is gone. But anyway, I bet the teacher didn't show the video of him begging to be assaulted and spitting and kicking at ICE agents. Parents are raising concerns that teachers at Whitman Middle School in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, showed students videos of Pretty. Hello, Dan. My daughter is in blank grade in middle school in Wauwatosa. She came home today to explain her teachers, yes, more than one, had been bringing up the most recent shooting of the nurse, encouraging her and all the students to write demand Congress to show outrage against ICE. In other words, indoctrination. She feels scared if she speaks on behalf of ICE or law enforcement. I'd like to put out in public forum, and I would also be contacting the school myself for a better understanding of what the goal is with these talks during a time that should be spent on her education. They even had shown the video of the incident along with bringing up Renee Good. Both of them were involved in this coordinated terror activity. So what if Renee Good said, I'm not mad at you. We don't give a damn who she's mad at. She's interfering with law enforcement. She's breaking the law. She was committing felonies. And so was Pretty. You know, he was wearing steel-toed boots. They're a weapon. And he was committing violent felonies, carrying a firearm. It makes all of us who are for Second Amendment look bad. So anyway, I'd love to get as many folks to stand up against this in schools. For the record, I love the show and very much appreciate it. Sincerely, whoever it was. But anyway, so yeah, the indoctrination of the children, that needs to be called out. And it is being called out. Here's Pretty again. Media Matters is fuming. Now, what's the name of the person who runs libs at TikTok? It's a woman, isn't it? Todd, you know about Wauwatosa, a suburb of Milwaukee? Wow. Okay. Media Matters is fuming that called teachers out who celebrated people who assault ICE and try to kill ICE agents and nurses who want to target ICE agents. So basically, Media Matters supports KILLing ICE agents? Libs of TikTok doxing teachers and nurses who support Alex Preddy or oppose ICE, trying to get them fired. Media Matters, they're getting sued by Elon Musk, aren't they? But yeah, why would you? What do you want? Teachers and nurses who support a violent felon? Very, very interesting. But now, whoa, I don't want to accidentally get rid of something. Let's see. How many of you live in near Las Vegas? Yukon Pizza in Las Vegas is closing tomorrow to protest ICE and to stand with illegals and rioters in Minnesota. They're going to have a big boycott tomorrow, folks. How well do you think that's going to go down? They suggest ICE are fascist and demand ICE stop arresting illegals. Send this to everyone you know in the area so they know what they're supporting if they visit Yukon Pizza. So anyway, here's our notification. Yeah, I'd never spend another dirty dime there. And I hope they go out of business. Hope they go out of business. They use everything they can use against people. Now, this little video here, they said they're getting nervous. And I don't know who he is or what the video says, but let's see what he's talking about. Is this guy getting nervous, or is he talking about other people getting nervous? Let me put my earphones in my ear hole and plug my earphones in, and I'll ask you if my voice changes, because I might just leave them in. I don't know. Here we go. There, how's things sound now? Do things sound different? Anyway, now I can listen along with you, kind of.
We all know the Trump administration's strategy is throw as much shit on the wall and see what sticks. Well, the nation was still grieving ICE's rogues' actions in Minneapolis. Yesterday, the Trump administration, in a move that should scare the hell out of all of us, went to seize election materials from the 2020 election that Donald Trump lost in Fulton County, Georgia. What does this mean for the fall? And what should particularly concern us is, guess who showed up at this FBI raid? The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard has nothing to do with election security. Tulsi Gabbard has even been in charge of dismantling what was called the Foreign Malign Influence Center to try to make sure foreign countries don't interfere in our elections. This complete Trump loyalist somehow popping up on an FBI raid? What the heck was she doing? We got to stand up and step up against ICE. We also got to stand up and step up to protect our elections coming this year.
I'll tell you who that is. You all probably know. Mark Warner from Virginia. Worried about what they're doing in Georgia. Remember I played that video of Trump saying, I can't believe they let all those illegal votes go through. The judges let all the illegal votes go through in the election of 2020. So anyway, it was made a matter of national security. Elections were made were put in the arena of national security under the Obama administration. Okay? So that's why she was there. Okay? And why do you care about Georgia? I still have that report from Christina Guayo, what they're doing in Virginia after somehow mysteriously they got this Democrat governor flipped the state this time around. You can't discharge a pew-pew unless you have 5 acres of property. That and a bunch of other crazy stuff. I'll get into that in a minute. They're even going to tax people's lawnmowers. They're going to tax people's lawn. It's going commie. Part of the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. So anyway, let's see here. Here's one Trump put up. Trump put this one up. There's Trump. You see, Johnny Midnight. Not only did Barack Hussein Obama falsify intelligence by directing the creation of an intelligence assessment that he knew was false, but he also conspired with foreign powers, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 times to overthrow the United States government in 2016. What did Mark Warner just cry about? That their foreign influence was already taken care of. We don't have that problem anymore. How come she showed up at the Georgia raid? Well, what do you care about Georgia? You're in Virginia, buddy. But anyway, here's Jesse Waters, this is the video that Donald Trump put up with that post. And so let me get my ear hole in, and then we'll enjoy it together. Then we'll talk about it.
Brand new details about how Obama's CIA targeted Trump and started the entire Russia hoax. For years, we were told that tips from an Australian diplomat tipped off the FBI after a random conversation with Papadopoulos, a no-name 20-something. But according to new reporting by Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi, the whole thing was a CIA setup. Former CIA Director John Brennan identified 26 Trump associates to be targeted by the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, and then those interactions were the targets and were targeted by the FBI as suspicious. And that's how the FBI launched the Russia collusion hoax. The details of this entire operation have been stored in a top-secret binder in a secret room in Washington. Trump ordered the whole thing declassified, and now the rumor is that the binder might be missing. Joining me now, one of the reporters who broke the story, Michael Schellenberger. Michael, explain how this all started with the CIA picking these 26 Trump people.
Yeah, good to be with you, Jesse. Well, obviously, this is an extremely serious story and serious allegation by multiple credible sources that Public and Racket, that's Matt Taibbi's publication, have spoken to. These are people that are close to the House intelligence investigation of how the Russia collusion hoax began. The story, as you mentioned, was that, we were just informed by foreign intelligence about this. Our sources tell us a very different story, which is that this was initiated by the U.S. government. It came from within the U.S. government's intelligence community, including the CIA, that they asked the so-called Five Eyes nations intelligence agencies, that's the other English-speaking nations, including Britain and Australia, to spy on 26 Trump associates, or at least they had a list of the 26 associates that were identified. This is new information. Some people have theorized about this and speculated about it. We feel very confident that our sources were in a position to know and are very credible in this report. And it's obviously a very serious allegation because this is illegal spying and it's illegal election interference.
Okay, so you're reporting that the CIA got these allies to bump these 26 Trump associates, create interactions, and then call these interactions suspicious and let the FBI know they were suspicious, and that starts the whole thing. What about this binder that encapsulates this whole thing, and no one knows where it is right now, or Trump has it? What's that?
Well, Jesse, we'll have a piece tomorrow that is specifically about the binder, but as a friend of the show and of yours on this, I'll say that there has been widespread speculation that this binder was the reason or a reason for the FBI raid of Mar-a-Lago, and we'll be discussing that tomorrow. But obviously, if this binder contains what we have been told that it contains, which may include raw intelligence, information showing that the U.S. government, the CIA and the intelligence community of the U.S. government, initiated the Russia collusion hoax, that it did not occur in the way that the official story, including the Durham investigation, had portrayed it, then that's extremely serious information. And it may be, if the FBI then went to go get it in order to continue the cover-up of this information, that obviously adds an even more dramatic wrinkle to this. Again, we'll have more to say about it tomorrow, but this is a huge, huge story. I mean, I've been thinking about it in the history of the United States of America. Have we ever had something like this where the intelligence community was weaponized against a political candidate and using our foreign allies to do it? I can't think of a more important or dramatic story.
Yeah, and then going to great lengths by using FBI raids to cover it up. That's just an absolute incredible development. Great reporting to you and to Matt, and we look forward to your report tomorrow.
Well,
thank you so much.
Attempting to overthrow a sovereign is an act of war if it's done by a foreign power. Keep that in mind, folks. That's why everybody submitted to Trump in his first term, because he caught them all. He threw those binders down on their desks and said, I got you. You better play ball. But anyway, so we got to keep in mind, we want this foreign influence to be exposed, because that is going to be what is going to have people facing a long drop with a short rope. And yes, I see the comments about California. They're squirming too. There's a whole different investigation going on there with Medicare and Medicaid fraud. And you can believe that there is probably grand juries already been convened. And we were told by the 17th letter that Huber could, out of Utah, could convene grand juries wherever he wants. It doesn't have to be in the Magic Kingdom. So, yeah, the foreign element. And when I played that clip of Obama telling people, go ahead and vote, they don't check citizenship, they don't check, and it's sacred, you don't have to worry, just go ahead and vote. He's encouraging foreign influence, foreigners to vote in our election. So a lot of people are in big trouble, right? Let's see, how many Debbies do I got in here? I see one. Hey, Greg, how you doing? Anybody else get in? Who did I miss? Raise your hand. So anyway, now let's see what else Donald Trump was talking about. I focus on it because I want to go ahead and play this Walz video. It's an exclusive. Everybody's jumping up and down to interview Tim Walz. He's such a hot property, Here's where he says he's never going to run for anything again. Is that him trying to put a little olive branch out there? And as far as him being exposed to foreign elements, suitcases of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars getting put on airplanes and being sent to Somalia, and electronic transfers, him changing the flag to a Somali flag, I wouldn't be sleeping very good either if I were you.
We're already doing it.
Do you regret jumping out before such a consequential moment?
No, and part of it was true. Look, I recognize that I'm a lightning rod, and this is a tough space for I'm in, because I know they hate me personally, and they take it out on my constituents, because old white guys who are former governors tend to land on their feet okay type of thing. But in all fairness on the timing, I removed myself, and then 2 days later, Renee Good is murdered. But I think one of the things is I have no political consideration, will never run for an elected office again.
Never again.
Never again. And I will just do the work. And what I found is, again, I'm going to say this. There's heroes on the streets that we don't know their names. They're never going to run for office. And those grass-top leaders brought this administration to their knees this week to do something about it. So there's other ways to serve, and I'll find them.
Heroes on the streets will never know their names. Oh, unless they're signed up to the coordinated conspiracy signal group, right? Maybe you do know their names. And yes, I agree with the chats. He's either going to be in Gitmo or he's going to run to China. China, Debbie says. Ha ha ha. Yeah, he's lost weight, Miss Mendersu. He has. I noticed that. A lot of people notice it. He's withering away. Withering away. Here's Clandestine. He comes out with, here we go. According to the Axios Hill Leaders newsletter, the Dems are afraid that Trump may eventually invoke the Insurrection Act, and they have been preparing for this possibility for months. Who's leading the charge? Of course, Adam Shifty Schiff. They know it's coming. And here's their article he posted with that. Behind the scenes, Democrats are gripped by their fears. President Trump may eventually invoke the Insurrection Act, which would allow him to deploy the U.S. military against citizens on U.S. soil. No, against criminals and domestic terrorists and foreigners who've infiltrated our lands. How about that? To crack down on protests across the country. Protests. My eye. Led by Adam Schiff, working group of over a dozen Senate Democrats. Boy, what a motley damn bunch. Have been meeting for months to prepare for the possibility. The group, which has included participation from Schumer's office, did you all see him give his little speech on the Senate floor? Damn, I thought he was drunk. He probably was, but anyway. Is preparing a response that would include coordinated messaging, like y'all never done that before. Floor action in the Senate in support for legal efforts. Dems must not be caught flat-footed. Oh, you already have. If Trump takes such an extreme step to deploy troops to police our streets, Schiff said in a statement. What's so extreme about it? What's so extreme? Here's one Trump put up. What's this guy? Senator Greg Dolezal. Now, he's from Minnesota. No, he's from Georgia. He's approving this raid. We deserve answers about what happened in 2020. I was one of 4 Georgia senators who originally called for a special session in the aftermath of the 2020 election. Glad to see the FBI here working to uncover the truth. So this is coordinated, okay? Timing is everything. Optics are everything. So here he is.
So just got word that the FBI is in Atlanta, Georgia, conducting a search warrant at the Fulton County election office. And I've spoken to a number of individuals over the last couple of weeks, have not spoken about this publicly, but who have been called in by the FBI for questioning and was aware that the FBI was here. Do not have any information what the search warrant is related to, other than Fox News is reporting it is related to the 2020 election. And I'd like to remind you that the reason that some of us, specifically Burt Jones, Brandon Beach, William Ligon, and myself, the first 4 that stood up and called for a special session, was so the legislature could do this back in 2020. I'm glad that we finally will be getting to the bottom of whatever it was that happened in 2020. Thanks to the federal government. Wish that we could have done it much, much earlier. We'll keep you posted on what we know. But the FBI's here, and hopefully we'll get the truth soon.
Yeah. So, no, the MSNBC and none of those creeps are going to show any of this stuff. They're just going to act like it was a jackbooted raid on the private information of the most secure election in American history. Is it right? Right? So, Terry, nice to meet you. Ha ha. St. Paul, St. Good will be immortalized. St. Pretty. Martyrs. Yeah, Pocahontas, yeah. I got that video somewhere in here. They look like asses, but you know what? People are purposely being dumb. They're being dumb on purpose. They can't, well, it's like the old saying, you can't handle the truth. But anyway, better than Pocahontas, if I come across it, I'll put it up. But here's Joe Scarborough.
Look at the people of Minnesota.
Yeah. I mean, they drew the line.
It is amazing that you had a man who was a nurse at a VA hospital and was a good Samaritan, dared to be a good Samaritan, and he got shot and killed for it. But I think he would have tried to help that lady up again if he had a chance to do it again. And Renee Good trying to calm this untrained, scared ICE officer down, going, dude, I'm not mad. You know, it's really been remarkable what we've seen coming out of Minnesota.
Yeah,
and their
been inspiring,
courage.
But also horrible, and they shouldn't even
Horrifying.
have to be going through this.
Right.
And then of course, just here in LA, I don't think people you don't see it on the news, but as one of our staff members, ICE was outside his child's school today,
Right.
waiting for parents to come out, and this is going on, and we're saying to each other, what are we going to do about it?
Oh, they so desperately want to keep families together, of course, which means letting a bunch of illegals stay here. But Tom Homan, in his speech, that's right, Miss Bender, Joe's crime about his intern. Don't forget about that. Trump already called him out on that. Here she is. Here's Pocahontas right here. Pocahontas talking about how great Pretty was, a wonderful patriot and a good man.
Caring for people was at the core of who he was. He was incapable of causing harm. Alex carried patience, compassion, and calm as a steady light within him. Even at the very end, that light was there. I recognized his familiar stillness and signature calm composure.
Whoever put that video together, that's a good one. But I heard he hadn't seen his wife or spoken to his wife in 2 years. This guy, I can't believe he got married anyway. I wonder what her story is. Did she want to support Trump? Inquiring minds want to know. I want to know where he got his so-called consistent with a broken rib medicine from. Did a doctor prescribe him medicine, or was he snitching it out of the place he was working? He's on some kind of drugs. I want to know about that. And I want to know what's going on. Was he hopped up on goofballs at the same time? Somebody said he got relieved from the place he was working at. Has anybody in the chat's heard about that? Yeah, why did he bring a 9 with him? Which is, if you have a concealed carry, you can't be committing crimes while you're carrying. You lose your permit. He was a violent menace. He was committing violent felonies while in possession of a firearm. And I want to know what his drug situation was. I want to know, was he living with his parents? You know, you got to feel bad for his parents. Nobody wants to see anybody lose one of their children. But, everything has gotten so insane. It's just irrational. Let me see what's going on here. Here's Tom Homan. I got 2 clips of Tom Homan. I think one of them, he said, one of these clips, he said, because they keep the narrative up. Are you only going to arrest violent criminals? They stuck the word violent in there now. So, in other words, if they get in your house and steal your silverware and your life savings and your TV and it wasn't violent, they're just here illegal. They can stay, right? They're pushing that narrative.
Everybody I've spoken with agrees that if somebody has a violent criminal history and is a fugitive, they don't want them as their neighbor. But when you're talking about a targeted operation, and are you talking about targeting people whose crime is coming to this country, or is it a more specific definition now?
All operations will be targeted, but the prioritization are going to be criminal aliens, public safety threats, and national security threats. I've met with Marcos and his staff. We got a lot of them. We got a lot of them to keep us busy. So that would be our focus.
If that is enough, that's what, there is not going to be a focus on people who have no other crimes except for their status.
If you're in the country illegally, you're never off the table. But prioritization doesn't mean you forget about everybody. So let me say this. If the message we send is you can enter this country illegally, it's a crime, don't worry about it. You can have your due process, show up in court, not show up in court, get ordered removed, don't worry about it. Unless you commit a serious crime, you're good to go. If that's the message we send to the world, you're never going to fix this problem. The most vulnerable people in the world will make that dangerous journey like they did under the Joe Biden administration. Over 4,000 aliens died making that journey. And again, a significant increase in sex trafficking. Because when they did that and opened those borders up saying, we're not going to detain you, we're going to give you free health care, we're going to fly you to the city of your choice, put you in a free hotel room, give you 3 meals a day, and give you work authorization, we're just going to bring you in. And when they did that, they sent a message to the whole world, you can come and do this. And what happened? They overwhelmed the men and women of the Border Patrol, where many days 70% of agents were pulled off that line. 70%. You don't think the criminal cartels had a field day with that? They created gaps for the cartels do their activity. And that's why you've seen the rise in fentanyl overdose. That's why you saw the rise in sex trafficking. The 2 million plus known gotaways, why did they pay more to get away? Why didn't they pay less, turn yourself in, get released within 24 hours? You get a free airline ticket to the city of your choice. We're going to give you a free hotel room, and we'll give you free food and free medical care. And you're going to get work authorization in 6 months. Why did 2 million people choose to pay more not to take advantage of that giveaway program? They didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. That scares the hell out of me. And it does still.
Yeah, all those ones that came in and didn't get benefits because they didn't want to be identified. And they didn't want to give their fingerprints. But yeah, he's taken a apolitical point by saying, if you're going to tell people they can just come here and it's not a big deal, you're going to have the country overwhelmed. But the bottom line is the political side of it, we know. They want to limit it only to violent criminals so they can turn these invaders into citizens with a wave of a legislative magic wand and have a new voter base. We know that. We know that. Hi, Debbie. Yeah. Yeah, he had he had the same gun. You could see it. sticking out when he had his jacket off. I think he had a second piece on him. We're going to find out more about this guy. This isn't the end of it. We're going to find out more. Now, I think a nurse practitioner can prescribe drugs. It's like your top rung in the nursing field. I don't know if that's the actual title, but other than that, you can't prescribe your own drugs. So did doctors prescribe those drugs, or where the hell did he get them from? I don't know.
In my meetings with Governor Walz, A.G. Ellison, and Mayor Fry, as well as state and local law enforcement, again, I appreciate they all acknowledge that we do have federal immigration laws in this country that have been passed by Congress, and that ICE is in fact a legitimate law enforcement agency charged with enforcing those laws. We're not making this up, folks. ICE is enforcing laws enacted by Congress. They're a federal statute. That said, I'm not here because the federal government has carried its mission out perfectly. First thing I said to senior staff when I walked in here is what I told you earlier. I didn't come here looking for photo ops or headlines. I come here looking for solutions. I do not want to hear that everything's been done here has been perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. Anything can be improved on. And what we've been working on is making this operation safer, more efficient, by the book. The mission is going to improve because of the changes we're making internally. No agency or organization is perfect. And President Trump and I, along with others in the administration, have recognized that certain improvements could and should be made. That's exactly what I'm doing here. As such, in meetings I've had with federal law enforcement managers, including ICE and CBP and other federal partners, as well as state and local officials, I have conveyed the President's expectations with regard to federal immigration enforcement efforts. We will conduct targeted enforcement operations. Targeted. What we've done for decades. When we hit the streets, we know exactly who we're looking for. Good idea where we may find them. You have a criminal history. You have their immigration history. A lot of information about this person that we get from numerous databases out there. Targeted, strategic enforcement operations. That's traditionally been the case. And that's where we're going. That's what we're going to continue to do and improve upon that. With a prioritization on public safety threats.
Now, I played this one because I'm a little concerned, not overly concerned, but the talk of a, targeted, he did say, if you're here illegally, you're fair game. You didn't have to be a violent criminal. But there's a, where'd it go? It's a thing from Melania. I think this is it right here. Yeah, from Maria Bartiromo. Melania Trump says she urged the president to be a unifier. She's got her movie coming out, and they did a preview at the Kennedy Center tonight. So let's hope that all goes, well for her, goes good. A lot of liberals are hoping it fails, the usual crap with the liberals. But I keep in mind Eleanor Roosevelt and Wilson's wife, who dominated the Oval Office. I don't believe Trump has the personality. But what is this unifier? Okay, do I got to unify with a bunch of light bulb head Somalis that are stealing me blind? Do I got to unify with people who came to this country for the express purpose of being on welfare? Okay, that are not contributing just a worldwide social services here in the United States? Unity's great, but not on my back. It's not. But anyway, yeah, she encouraging the country to come together. Well, it's easier for us to come together if we get everybody that's not supposed to be here out of here. And that's just my opinion. Here's something else from Donald J. Trump. Oh, I didn't see him post this, but Laura Logan reposted it, but I didn't see it on Trump's feed. Maybe they took it down. I don't know. She says it's definitely time. And underneath Trump's picture there, the guy said, maybe it's time to shut the F up and let him cook. So I don't know. I found that a little, yeah, whatever. So anyway, yeah, maybe they should just shut up and let him work. Trump put this up. President Trump's legal team exposing the 2020 election fraud at the Georgia State Farm Arena, pulling suitcases full of alleged fraudulent ballots from under the tables after the election center was shut down, running the same stacks of ballots over and over and over, all throughout the night until Biden was ahead, stealing the election from President Trump. This is exactly why the FBI raided the election center today in Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia. This is only the beginning. Prosecutions are coming. You see that was posted by Donald J. Trump. Reposted. So yeah, they watch it, whether they admit it or not. They watch with bated breath every time Trump posts. Trump won big, crooked election. Whoa. This is, who's this? Real Robert. November 3rd, 2020 election. Here is the Georgia Secretary of State, Raffensperger, in the early morning hours of November 4th, confirming Trump won the state of Georgia just hours before the United States government was overthrown. We have about 2% left to go. As you can see, we are right now. It will not change the outcome. In fact, he doubles down after being reminded, oh, that was interesting. We're just getting to the good part. Raffensperger, we don't guess. What we do is report. In other words, if 100% of the remaining 2% of votes went to the vegetable in the basement, Donald Trump still won the state of Georgia. So it's Raffensperger. Where is he? Do I have that? I should have that. Let me see. I might have that clip. Let me see. Let's see if this is it. I don't know. Oh, this is the raid, actual raid. Well, let me play it. If I come across the Raffensperger one, I'll put it up. But anyway.
Tonight, FBI agents are going through materials found today during a search of the Fulton County, Georgia election office. That search is said to be related to the 2020 election. Correspondent David Spunt has details tonight. Good evening, David.
Brett, good evening. FBI agents are still on site at the records warehouse for the Fulton County, Georgia Board of Elections. The matter is sealed before a court, meaning details are limited, but we can report this is related to the 2020 presidential election. Sources tell Fox News that agents retrieved documents, phones, and computers after a judge signed a warrant. President Trump has long made Georgia, and specifically Fulton County, a target of his complaints relating to the 2020 election. Shortly after that election, Trump spoke to Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, and said he needed a 11,780 votes to win the state. At the time, Raffensperger said he felt pressure from Trump and denied any widespread election fraud. He continues to deny it to this day. Now, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis brought state criminal charges against then former President Trump and others in 2023 for conspiracy to overturn the election. But her prosecution, Brett, was eventually derailed completely after it was revealed she had an intimate relationship with the top prosecutor on her team, and it could have tainted the case. Late last year, a judge dismissed the case in its entirety. Now, Brett, last month, the Justice Department sued Fulton County, Georgia, seeking access to 2020 voting records after state officials allegedly failed to respond to a subpoena. Fox News has learned the head of the FBI's Atlanta field office was recently forced out in recent days, but it's unclear, Brett, if this is all related.
Now, how long do they have to hold on to ballots by law? I think a judge ordered them to hold on longer, hold on to those ballots longer. So something's been brewing for a while. Something's been brewing for a while. Anyway, let's see. Let's see. Let's see what Donald Trump put up here. I haven't watched it, but Donald Trump posted it, a Fox News alert. Breaking, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has just released hundreds of bombshell Russiagate documents proving that Barack Hussein Obama, have you heard of him, personally ordered CIA agents to manufacture false intelligence on President Trump and was actively working with the, quote, working with the enemy to undermine and erode America's confidence in our democracy and President Trump's landslide 2016 victory. This was a coup attempt by Barack Obama, Hussein Obama, and his cronies. As Jesse Waters said, whatever happened to these guys is not revenge. It's accountability. And it's time people pay the price. Arrest Obama now. You see who posted that? It's right up there at Real Donald Trump. So, yeah. I want to put my earbuds in for this thing, and I will put my 2 cents. We'll watch it together. I haven't seen it yet. Oh, and have you noticed? I've got my little 9/11 picture of Donald Trump's cell phone. On top of all the stuff we're dealing with, I think we're going to be finding out stuff about that. Didn't we hear that things were going to be, that it was going to be bigger than the Super Bowl? You remember that, folks? Don't you remember that?
News alert, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, releasing a bombshell report today that shows a conspiracy by a sitting president, Barack Obama, and his intel agencies to sabotage the president-elect, Donald Trump, brainwash the electorate, and undermine the legitimacy of an election.
There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't.
Gabbard got her hands on a House intel report that's been locked away in a CIA vault for almost a decade. Investigators spent over 2,000 hours looking into how the Russia hoax was born, interviewing 20 CIA and FBI officials. And it turns out that the Obama administration doctored the intelligence to make it look like Putin and Trump stole the election. A month after Trump beat Hillary, Barack Obama wasn't satisfied with his intelligence reporting and ordered his CIA director to create a new assessment of how Russia interfered with the election. This was a highly unusual move. John Brennan handpicked 5 CIA analysts to write the assessment, and they were siloed. None of them knew what the other was doing, and only one analyst was in charge of drafting this report. There was nothing routine about this, and it was a rush job to publish before Trump was sworn in. Nothing was coordinated with the other intelligence agencies either. Basically, this was home cooking for Barack Obama. There were 4 key elements from the assessment that were repeated over and over again and formed the basis of the Russia hoax and the Robert Mueller witch hunt. 1, that Vladimir Putin wanted Donald Trump to win. 2, Putin took action to help Trump win. 3, the Russians had blackmail on Trump. That was the Steele dossier. And 4, that the Russians tried colluding with the Trump campaign. None of any of this was ever true. There was no reliable intelligence to support any of these allegations. Senior CIA officials repeatedly refused to traffic in these allegations, but they were repeatedly overruled by CIA Director Brennan and FBI Director Comey, who insisted that they be pushed, even without verifiable evidence. The Obama administration cherry-picked the intelligence, lied about their sources, misquoted sources, didn't corroborate their claims, suppressed intelligence that ran counter to their narratives, and even used anonymous internet postings. Rank and file CIA admitted what they were doing violated their own tradecraft standards. There was a massive pressure campaign that came right from the top. CIA analysts say they received unusual directives from political appointees, the CIA director, and Obama himself. This is how the Russia hoax was born.
Donald Trump knows that the Russians helped him win in 2016.
Putin hated Secretary Clinton so much that the flip side of that coin was he had a clear preference for the person running against the person he hated so much.
It was Russia, in a very systematic way, tried to interfere in the election and to try to advance the prospects of Donald Trump being elected.
This was such a malicious disinformation campaign perpetrated on the American people that at one point, 60% of Democrats believed the Russians hacked our voting machines to help Trump win the White House. What this report actually shows is that the Russians just wanted to create chaos and undermine Americans' faith in democracy. Solid intelligence suggested that Vladimir Putin didn't care who won. He had no preference. But like most people, expected Hillary to win and had a little docket of compromising dirt on her, dirt that he never released. Now, if Putin wanted Trump to win, why didn't Putin drop the dirt?
There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for Trump.
Now, if Clinton was on tranquilizers like the Russians believed, why didn't they leak it to help Trump win?
How credible was they? They had more dirt than that, folks. Don't forget about Putin in Helsinki talking about how 2 members of the intelligence agencies from the USA left Russia with, what was it, $500,000 for Hillary's campaign. Remember, Putin was talking about that? But anyway, you see why when they see Tulsi is handling this end of the investigation and they see Tulsi in Georgia, you see why they're freaking out. Because this is a direct tie to foreign interference.
All I have seen is what the Intelligence Committee have reported through their investigation. I think the underlying point there is that we understand from intelligence what Russia said that they had. And the important point here is that if they were trying to influence the election, as President Obama and James Clapper and John Brennan, everybody said they were doing in order to support Donald Trump's election, they would have released the most damning of that information.
Obama and his spy chiefs knew that Putin didn't prefer Trump over Hillary, but they cooked the intelligence to make it look like he did. Obama and his intel spies knew that Putin didn't collude with Trump and that he didn't even direct his people to help Trump win. But they put it out there anyway. In a sense, Barack Obama did exactly what Putin wanted, undermined Americans' faith in free and fair elections and caused chaos in our country. Barack Obama, the CIA, and the FBI were the ones doing what our enemy wanted.
Do you believe that any of this new information implicates former President Obama in criminal behavior?
We have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this.
For even former President Obama?
Correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
Even 2 years later, after the election, Barack Obama was still pushing a hoax he knew wasn't true. And he knew it wasn't true because he helped manufacture it.
They're undermining our alliances, cozying up to Russia. What happened to the Republican Party? They're cozying up to the former head of the KGB. Actively blocking legislation that would defend our elections from Russian attack. What happened?
Now, I don't know if it's possible to indict a former president for actions he took while in office. I'm not a lawyer, proudly. But Brennan, Comey, and others may have severe liability. Trey Gowdy says we know for a fact that Brennan committed perjury when he lied to Congress.
Director Brennan, do you know who commissioned the Steele dossier?
I don't.
You know if the Bureau ever relied on the Steele dossier as part of any court filings, applications?
I have no awareness.
Did the CIA rely on it?
No.
Why not?
Because we didn't. It wasn't part of the corpus of intelligence information that we had. It was not in any way used as a basis for the intelligence community assessment that was done. It was not.
Well, that's a lie. Whatever happens to these guys is not revenge. It's accountability. And it's time for people to pay the price.
Okay, so Trump posted that today. So we got people pooping their pants. People pooping their pants. Ha ha ha. So somebody found a dog. Yeah, I'm just looking at the chats. Hi, Jerry. Who else came in? Somebody else came in. Devin. Nice to see you. So anyway, yeah, there's something there. What do they call it? Intricate web. The intricate web. Oh, here's Ratzenberger, I think. Ratzenberger saying that Trump had Georgia sewn up. That it's over. Even if 100% of it, well, he doesn't say that, but what that's the intimation. The 2% remaining, if it all went for Joe Biden, Trump would still win. But something happened in the middle of the night.
Flipping in this election, but we shall see, is Georgia, and that state's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger is with us now. Mr. Secretary, good morning on a busy morning. I guess the big question is, Hoda?
Yeah, we want to know, when are we going to get your votes? When are we going to find out who's won your state?
Well, we have about 2% left to go. We had great success yesterday. We had 4.7 million voters that voted. Record breaker for us, beats the 4.1 in 2016. We also had average wait time of only 2 minutes, statewide average. We have about 2% left to go. And you can see where we are right now with the results that have been reported. I don't think it'll change any of the outcomes, but that's what really people that make those predictions do. What we'll do is get...
Well, that was interesting, though. We were just getting to the good part there because the Secretary of State said they got 2% left to count, Chuck, but he did not think it would change the outcome.
That's interesting.
But then he deferred to the prognosticators, which I think is over to you.
Look, I can just tell you what our models say, and it's where those counties are. They are heavily Democratic counties.
and it's the Atlanta number. So it is going to shrink. Perhaps
They cut his
if I were an arbiter
feed.
of an election result, I wouldn't want to be the one saying yes, and when we count the vote, it'll change the result. I think his job is to be the umpire.
Well, let's ask Mr. Secretary. Can you hear me now? You just were saying something.
I'm getting like phone bombed or something.
Oh, okay. Well, fair. You're a busy guy. You're probably all your friends wanting to know the same thing we want to know, which is when is Georgia going to report its results? But you said something interesting, sir. You said 2% left to count. You didn't think, however, that it would be changing the outcome.
Right.
Is that based on your analysis of where those votes are outstanding, or are you just guessing it because of the fact that it's only 2%?
We don't guess. What we do is report. We just see where the candidates are right now in both presidential, congressional, senatorial, and you look at how many votes are out there. Even if one of the candidates got 100%, it probably wouldn't be enough to move it one way or the other.
Gotcha.
But it is what it is. We'll just wait till everything's done. The counties are working diligently.
Even if a candidate got 100%, it wouldn't move it one way or the other. Ain't that something? And they cut his feed. Well, something's going to tie it all together with the Hussein Obama operation. What's this one now? Let's see here. Yeah, okay. That's I must have copied that twice. Okay, that's the Ratzenberger. Here's Bill O'Reilly. Now, did you all hear about his health scare he had? Apparently, he had internal bleeding, but he's back. He's back. And he's talking about the ICE shooting. So I've got another video Trump put up, but I want to squeeze this one in. I don't want to run out of time. So let me go ahead and play this.
Here's the most important part of this whole. Okay? There is a man in Shanghai, China, an American citizen. His name is Neville Roy Singham. He works with the Beijing government. He is funneling millions of dollars into the United States of America through 501s like Party for Socialism and Liberation, Democratic Socialists of America, Minnesota Immigration Rights Action Committee. There he is, okay? Connecticut-born, 71 years old, billionaire tech guy. He is funneling money here to these radical organizations who are then agitating professional people, communists mostly, because Singham's a communist, all right, to go in and foster rebellion. You heard that story reported? That is absolutely true. The man has been investigated by the FBI in the past, this Singham character, okay? This isn't some organic thing. This is a foreign power, Beijing, using this American citizen who lives openly in Shanghai in luxury, knowing that this man is funneling tens of millions, probably more, into this country to try to destroy the government. What the deuce is that? Where are you, New York Times? All right? That's the second part of the story. There's a local federal story, and there's the international story. And I've had it. You don't like what I'm saying? Blank you, because I'm telling you the truth.
Well, that's pretty unequivocal. Another source of foreign influence in our elections, the funding of these radical Marxist communists that we're seeing. So, yeah, it's a good thing I played that. I put a link in the description for Buy Me a Coffee if anybody wants to help an old man out. And I appreciate everybody that went this week to Buy Me a Coffee. Mr. Kennedy and Younger Gang and Colette, Mike and Bev, Todd, Pappy Two Bears, and Wayne. So anyway, it's at the 127 mark in the chats, which the link works after the live stream. If you're watching, you can go to that link and help support the channel, viewer-supported channel. Again, here we have something that President Trump put up. Patricia said America could break China dependency with Greenland. China dependency, what's he talking about? Who's dependent on China? Oh, maybe it's Canada? I don't know. But here's the video that Donald J. Trump put up today. Well, early this morning, actually. So anyway, we'll go ahead and play it and see who's dependent on China.
What if I told you there is a new global alignment? And I want you to hear me out, okay? Just hear me out first. Let's do the Greenland component. Greenland has been asking Denmark for help securing itself against Russia and China for over 20 years. They haven't done anything, nor has anyone from any side of the EU on the NATO side. So case in point, Germany only sent like 14, I think it was literally 14 people when Trump threatened to invade. So you see the commitment from the EU. America, though, has had a treaty post-World War II to put bases basically anywhere they want. But we're not going to overly invest if it's not U.S. soil. But what if we were to acquire it? This would increase American soil by over 20% and enter what we would then call NORCOM, or Northern Command, where our radar could actually detect an ICBM from Russia or China 20 minutes earlier than it does now, because the path would be over the North Pole. This has also serious global impacts to our foes. We'll do China first. China owns 80 to 85% of the global EV battery industry and produces items for our EVs here in America at a ratio of 6-to-1 that we do internally. If America had access to Greenland, we could break that dependency within a year. We also would be able to produce most of our own chips, too, just from the rare earth minerals that are in Greenland. This would de-incentivize China from taking Taiwan, because that's really the only reason they want it, for the semiconductor market, which would hinder America if China controlled that. All right, stay with me here. Also, our acquisition that could break China's Northern Silk Road and secure a northern shipping channel, cutting off trade routes for China and Russia, but also giving us more secure options that could be taxed for other nations, i.e. making our shipping expenses go down dramatically. This would essentially turn Greenland into America's 12th carrier battle group as well. You can't sink it either. And in its current proposal, as the annex proposal stands, Trump offered every person in Greenland $100,000. That would cost us, there are only 57,000 people. It would cost us $5.7 billion. Now, compare that to the over $8 billion price tag for a new aircraft carrier. Don't even get me started on the rest of the fleet. See, Trump's not shooting from the hip here. This would allow America to launch a fighter jet from American soil that could touch Beijing and Moscow, which Moscow, along with China, has been looking into take Greenland for a while now for the same reasons, because there's 50 billion barrels of oil just in offshore shallow water wells in and around Greenland, which if America took control of, we could theoretically change the impact of OPEC globally. Now, if we didn't need China for anything and Russia needed to come to the U.S. for oil because we were outproducing OPEC, or needed to beg us for access to the northern shipping routes, suddenly, would we all become friends? They need us. Is Trump rebalancing global power with his Greenland move? Look, NATO was originally based on the opposition to fascism and communism. Now the UK puts people in jail for Facebook posts. They have socialist governments and have imported enough people to make them anti-American. We don't share the EU's values anymore. What if I told you that America and Russia had more in common than America and the EU? And before you freak out and say that I'm pro-Putin, listen to me, okay? Shut up. Putin is the worst, okay? I'm talking about the Russian people. Same demographic, generally same religious base, and given the opportunity, would probably side with American influence over Putin's de facto dictatorship. Remember, they were our ally against Nazi Germany not too long ago. But if Putin knew he couldn't survive our influence, I'd be willing to bet he would buckle. You rope in Brazil after they just saw us kidnap their neighbor's leader. Saudi Arabia would come to heel if we didn't need their oil from OPEC. China would be forced to go along with it after losing their northern mobility and shipping routes, and we wouldn't need their batteries. They'd be ostracized on a global trade route because, remember, Trump has exerted our power on the Panama Canal, so they basically can't get into any other ocean. And Europe, They gave up all their power plants in the Green New Deal aspirations. They imported foreigners, bankrupted themselves with social programs, and have been crushing their farms to the point that they can't even grow their own food anymore. So why do we need them anyway? They contribute basically nothing. 14 troops to it? Thanks, Germany. America's essentially 70% of NATO anyway. Democrats think Trump is just like randomly doing stuff because he's crazy. No, he's actually like 17 steps ahead. And by the time the rest of the world realize it, they're too far behind to do anything about it.
The Constitution.
17 steps.
What's right.
That's interesting.
He's a freedom warrior.
That's interesting. He picked the 17 steps ahead. So I guess he's talking about our dependence. Oh, I hope you all have a good time at the movie, the Melania movie. That's very nice of you to take your wife, Mark. Very nice of you. Let us know how that goes. Yeah. So anyway, wow, there's so much news going on, but we will. Here's a short clip of Donald Trump. Let me play this real quick. Let's see. This was at his cabinet meeting today.
And I personally asked President Putin not to fire into Kiev and the various towns for a week. And he agreed to do that. And I have to tell you, it was very nice. A lot of people said, don't waste the call, you're not going to get that. And he did it, and we're very happy that they did it.
Yeah, he asked Putin not to bomb Kiev during this cold snap, and Putin agreed. So anyway, I think we got this election stuff, but we've also got the American military is massively transporting air defense systems from the mainland to the Middle East in anticipation of an expected strike on Iran and a retaliatory attack. Air defense systems. Iran announced that they were deploying another 1,000 drones to the area and making very serious threats. If anything does happen, some people are saying within the next 48 hours, okay, there may be an attack. So something big is going to happen, I think. Iran announced it will conduct military exercises with live fire in the Strait of Hormuz, February 1st and 2nd, through which about 20% of the world's oil supplies passes. Well, as you heard on the Greenland report, it won't be our problem in the future. But anyway, also today, Tehran promised a crushing response to any attack following Trump's threats to launch a strike. Recently, the deputy commander of the Iranian Republican Guard naval forces threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz, a vital waterway which Tehran has repeatedly threatened to close in the past, but has never actually done so. Well, to show you even more how Trump is handling world affairs, it was quite unexpected. The EU has included the Iranian Republican Guard in the list of terrorist organizations. So the EU is, I feel, acquiescing to Donald Trump in the matter of Iran. And here we have again. Trump is considering launching targeted strikes against the leadership and security forces of Iran to inspire protesters to seize government buildings, according to Reuters. The U.S. president wants to create conditions for a regime change after the suppression of recent protests. However, a final decision has not been made. According to some media reports, a strike is possible within the next 48 hours. But according to others, The U.S. is expecting further negotiations at the weekend. Well, I know that I feel the internet has been jacked up, and we shall see what the result of that will be. I wanted to play this clip for you all. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Here we go. Let's see what this one is. Canada is against the Golden Dome being built over Greenland, even though the Golden Dome would protect Canadians, proving corrupt governments do not care about the safety of their country's people. They're only concerned with China's interests. And Donald Trump posted this to go along with it. Is the video. Here we go. There's Donald J. Trump. Let me cut my mic off so it'll play good and loud for you all.
Breaking news, Donald Trump has just come out and said Canada is against the Golden Dome being built over Greenland, even though the Golden Dome would protect Canada. Instead, they voted in favor of doing business with China, who will eat them up within the first year. Mark Carney wrote his speech. No one wrote it for him, and his speech has now caused Donald Trump to come out and say that China's going to eat Canada alive. We tried to warn the elbows up voters that this was going to happen. What is going to happen next?
Well, they say Trump met with leaders from Alberta who are apparently discussing a break. We shall see. Donald Trump again posted, watch CNN come to realize that Trump won Georgia. Pretty funny. Ha ha ha. We like funny posts, do we not? Of course we do. So I'll go ahead and play it. Donald Trump saw fit to put it up today. Ha ha ha. Wait a second. Let me get that off the screen. There we go. All right. So I'm going to play this video for you. Trump thought it was funny, and he saw well of it enough to put it on his feed so we can watch it too. So anyway, folks, I'm going to go ahead and play this video for you all. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you all enjoy the movie Melania for those of you who are going. And what do I always say? I say thank you for spending your precious time with me. I really appreciate it. And I should be going live tomorrow night. If you're subscribed, you'll know when I go live. So why don't you go ahead and do that for me? Ha ha. So anyway, folks, enjoy this video. I hope you all have a great evening. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out. Well, I guess I'm not out. It didn't play. It didn't play. Oh, my goodness. So I let everybody down. Oh, my word. Where in the world? I have to. It was a botched outro. How many times does that happen to old Mountain Man? Once in a while. Once in a while. I will play you this instead. I will play you this video of someone getting arrested. Wait a minute. Yeah, right here. Somebody, a Democrat politician getting arrested in Orleans Parish. Things are going on all around the country, folks. A little snafu, yes, Jerry. Ha ha ha. So thank you for spending your extra precious time with me. Enjoy this video, folks. Have a great night. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.
Yeah, and big surprise, of course, to the police chief, who says this was a certain shock to her. She tells us she learned about it this morning and believes it happened either today or within the last 24 hours. Now, the recruit, who has not been identified, started the NOPD hiring process back in June. At that point, Chief Kirkpatrick says there were no red flags, no issues. He provided the required documents, including a driver's license and a social security number, passed a criminal background check, and cleared E-Verify, which is the federal system that confirms whether someone is
out to work in
the
US.
This is a cop that got
From
deported.
There, going to the academy, no big deal.
But in December, Kirkpatrick says an immigration judge in Georgia, where the recruit previously lived, issued a removal order. She says that raises questions about whether anything would have even shown up during the hiring process months earlier. Now, NOPD says it is working with ICE to better understand what to watch for moving forward in the process.
I'm glad to know that on our end, we did the due diligence. We were not lax in all of the things that we would normally do. Like I said, the person had a driver's license. They'd been here in our country for 10 years.
Kirkpatrick says to her understanding, the recruit will not receive a bond hearing and the removal process is already underway. Charisse, we did reach out to DHS and ICE to get a lot more information, or even just a little bit. We have not heard back.
Yeah.